Nice move there. Bulgarian split squat off the stair. Very nice indeed. Anyway, another box of veg has been evaporated. Amino acids, cold coffee on the deck because it's an Ed Laverack training. It's 15:30s, but first a little bit of the old upper body to stop the pectoral muscles from disappearing. Now, before lavishing a little bit of time and attention here on the beach muscles, I've got a really important question of the day and I'd very much appreciate your opinion on. And the question is, if people who have YouTube channels with Star Wars characters, who would they be? So here's my starters for 10. And I reckon this one's a bit of a no-brainer. It's Scott from Com Hunt TV. And then we move across the room to the Millennium Falcon and I present to you Vegan Cyclist. I mean, who doesn't love Han Solo? And don't worry, VC, Scott's light years away over there on the shelf. You're very safe here. And then we move on to what I believe is another no-brainer. I present to you Ed Laverack. I mean, Ed's super wise, what with all the polarized training programs and the progression in WKG, but very strong. I mean, nobody messes with Ed on a bike, do they? And then we come to the more contentious question. Who best represents Chris Pritchard? And there are options here. I think Chris would see himself as Luke Skywalker, a swashbuckling Luke Skywalker. But there are other options here. Is there a darker side? I mean, there's tantrums on the live streams and all that kind of thing. So maybe Chris is better suited to a Darth Vader style role. But there's one third option as well. Because after all, Chris did invent the live stream. So is he the Emperor? You decide. But either way, for my money, Chris is either Darth Vader or the Emperor, and that in turn means Luke is Cameron Jeffers. Now, I'm aiming to get to 100 press-ups without stopping. So here's my max effort attempt for the week. Oh dear. 51. And I was slow. Not even sure how good the form was. Please do let me know. I'm so disappointed in that. I was expecting at least 60 there. So on the deck, I read 30-15s. Nice and simple, difficult to do. The 30-second sprints are at 360 watts, about 120% of FTP, and I got to do 13 of them. Starting any second now when we hit the KOM marker. I'm going to wait until 11:15. Now, number one down. It's going to be a long 13. I've not got ERG on to get used to selecting the right gear and having a punch. Hey. reason Ed scheduled 30:15s today on Friday ahead of my race tomorrow, Saturday, the Tour for All, the Alpe du Zwift stage, is because he is firmly of the view, and I very much concur, that by having some hard efforts the day before a race, it prepares the body for the hard efforts that are sure to come during the race. And indeed, on a personal level, whether indoors or outdoors, my best ever average power and normalised power has come when it's been preceded the day before by 60-30s, 40-20s, that kind of thing. So that's the method here. However, last 3 days I've been working very late, up until 11:30 each night. Haven't been sleeping the best either, so I'm feeling a bit more fatigued than I'd hoped to be. Therefore, I'm cutting it short at one block of 30:15s rather than 2 blocks, because I'm hopeful that that one block would have done more than enough to keep the body stimulated and ready for tomorrow. A little bit of zone 2 will hopefully help the recovery process, get blood circulating through the muscles, and then hopefully with a good night's sleep tomorrow, I might make a half decent effort on the Tour for All. Fingers crossed. Pre-race fuel, potatoes, cauliflower curry, asparagus. Pre-race weigh-in, and it's a race up Alpe du Zwift. Check out my new Boba Fett jersey. Hopefully it'll provide a little bit of inspiration for what's to come. And I'm going to go back to my normal early morning pre-race routine, which requires perfect day for a virtual race. It requires fast digesting carbohydrates, highly branched chain cyclic dextrin, an old bodybuilding supplement there, plus of course the amino acids and cold coffee. Well, I am indeed honoured, because Boba Fett was suitably satisfied with that race result to merit flying over from the shelf over there in Slave 1 to join me on the computer for a little bit of a Zone 1 warm down. So praise indeed. Anyway, overall, I'm pretty happy with the result. Feel like I'm back in the game. That was my best average power and normalised power for quite some time. Average over the 50 minutes, 293 watts. Normalised, 298 watts, around about 4.7 watts a kilogram. Certainly, that's a nice base to try and improve from, getting my head down with a little bit of Ed Laverak's polarised training as of next week. Fingers crossed. Jenny, and that's Scott's mum from ComHunt TV, if you haven't yet met Jenny in the live chat on one of his premieres. Anyway, Jenny, I do know you love a slice of lemon cake, and so my mum had sent a slice for me. I nearly ate it all before reporting in, but I thought you might like to see what's left. As you can see here, the consistency is lovely and moist, and there's a perfect drizzle running right the way through the sponge. I can confirm that the lovely Rachel, that's my mum, makes a mean lemon drizzle cake. So I hope you enjoy that. Beautiful red sky this morning, although red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning. Little project to film right now, so it's time for 5 AM. Amino acids and cold coffee. Waterloo Bridge, London. Perfect first thing in the morning. So welcome to Regents Park, and for me it's the first time I've been here in ages, let alone on a bike. But I hear the cycling is good, so I'm here to check it out. And first off, we're going to start with the inner circle, because I reckon that's where there's fewest traffic lights, therefore it's a place where I'm going to get down the most consistent power. Now, from what I've been seeing in the news during this pandemic, I've been expecting a veritable peloton to be hooning around here. But check it out, beautiful and quiet. Really looking forward to this. Absolutely sensational. And the tarmac, velvety smooth, just like in the USA. So as you can see, the velodromes of London, they're incredible. But this one is sensational. It's the perfect place to lay down a few VO2 max efforts, and that's exactly what I've done. I started off with a 5-minute effort, just done a couple of 2-minute efforts. I'm going to continue with a 2-minute effort. Ed Lavarat polarized style. Well, the legs were definitely not on top form this morning. I was definitely feeling it from yesterday, which is the Tour for All, the Alpe d'Huez stage, where I was doing those 60-30s at the beginning of the Alpe, the 30-30s at the end, and had normalised power of about 298 over the whole race. So I guess it's to be expected that the old quads and hammies were feeling a little bit fatigued. But also outdoors, I am learning how to get the power down while seated, especially when I'm on the drops. In that first 5-minute effort, while I was on the drops and seated, I was struggling to get the power down at 360 and above and sustain it. I found it a bit better when I gradually moved towards the front of the seat. I found it easier to kind of, I guess, apply the torque and get that nice circular pedal stroke. So more to experiment with. Now I'm going to be riding outdoors a bit more. Really enjoyed it. And on the 2-minute efforts, the power was much better, but that's kept because I was standing or on the hoods. And I guess that's one of the things about doing a lot of riding indoors. You are spending a lot of time on the hoods rather than on the drops, and it is easier to lay down absolute power that way. But I guess the aerodynamics are so much worse outside that it is important to experiment riding on the drops. Anyway, definitely more to come from the inner circle of Regents Park. Really love it here. Awesome. And that's the most people I've seen here all morning. Well, May is completely spoiling us with these beautiful spring mornings. Teetering on the precipice there. I'm extraordinarily clumsy, but for once I managed to both apply the brake and stop the GoPro. Well, I've never seen Regent Street this quiet, ever. I mean, obviously it's very early still, but nonetheless. And gently perambulating back home via the home of the nation's hero and the original bounty hunter. Need I say more? So overall, that ride was about 2¼ hours active duration. So comfortably back in time to see Ed Laverak's latest adventure. And it's not exactly a short one. I reckon at least 100 kilometers and a whole ton of climbing. Anyway, turning back to my own ride. As is normal for me, I undertook it fasted with just the amino acids, cold coffee and plenty of water. And that's because I'm trying to encourage the body to break down fat tissue in order to create energy. However, post-ride is obviously the perfect time to start the process of repair and recovery with all the usual post-ride nutrition. Commencing with the Phil Richards Ultimate Greens to deliver the vitamins and minerals and general goodness to start the process of repair. The carbohydrates here are to replenish the muscle glycogen that's been run down as a result of the exercise. And then turning to the protein source today, it's going to be a pea protein. And the protein's important because exercise is breaking down the muscle tissue. And so the protein's going to deliver the amino acids to hopefully help repair the muscles a little bit stronger and more powerfully than before we started the training. And then mixing up that pea protein with the hippie milk and the blueberries, giving it a final squeeze in the NutriBullet. And I always have a fruit source, i.e. a vitamin C source, with my post-workout shake, because the vitamin C helps calm the body down. All that exercise and the caffeine creates cortisol and adrenaline, and the vitamin C helps get rid of that from the body and create that equilibrium. Anyway, turning to the power, it was actually okay. Notwithstanding the legs felt a little bit tired. The 5-minute effort on the drops was 325 watts, and each of the 2-minute efforts, I think there was about 5 2-minute efforts with 2 minutes between each effort, was in the 345 to 360 watt range. So a decent little base there. Going to keep chipping away and improving on that outdoors. And I think it's much more about the technique and how I sit or stand and lay down the power on the pedals outdoors. I've got too used to riding indoors, just having to recalibrate the legs and the technique outdoors.